new moon in Taurus is giving us the green light that it's time to start building or rebuilding towards the new and to tap into our psychic, intuitive, and creative channels to do this. Hey everyone, it's Christine. Welcome back to my channel and to this video on the new moon in Taurus happening on May 7th or 8th, depending on where you are in the world, at 11:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for May 7th. And it'll be, for many folks, early in the morning on May 8th. This lunation, in a nutshell, is about building a life that matters for you. It's as if a house has been disassembled. Maybe you could consider that post-eclipse season, and even the last lunation, the full moon in Scorpio, when a lot of things just shifted, released. We were in a mode of, okay, this is where we are, what is, a mode of acceptance, if you will, and now realizing, well, where do we go now? And this new moon in Taurus is really allowing us to take a look at what we have in front of us right now, what we want to take with us going forward, especially things that feel good, people that support us and nourish us, and things that we put our time and energy into that help us grow, or what it is that we want to do that's going to allow us to change those areas of our lives so that we have a stronger foundation and that we can head towards new things that we want to do in our lives. So we're ultimately learning how to find safety and security here in new ways that support the blooming process for who we are now, where we are, and what we've experienced in the last several days, weeks, and months. There's been a shitload of change. I'll tell you that. And I feel like Taurus season is really giving us that first opportunity to just breathe, to just sit with the feet on the earth, on the rug, up on the sofa, whatever it is, to kind of just take into account everything and allow ourselves to be very mindful, very intentional at this point in recreating, rebuilding, or changing anything, maybe tweaking in our lives going forward so that we feel more confident. We feel like we're doing something that's attached to our values and that has greater meaning, which I'll say some of these themes are very much connected to the next full moon in Sagittarius. But we're going to stay focused here on this lunation. Just a reminder, timestamps are provided. All times pertain to Eastern Standard Time, New York City time for reference. I use whole sign houses and Western tropical astrology. I'm an intuitive, and I also use Hellenistic techniques. I always link the chart too, because you can change it according to your location, and it'll give you more specifics as to where you are. Okie dokie. So let's dive into the main themes. The first theme we have is getting reacquainted with safety, security, and power in our lives. And this is simply the result and the connection between the sun and the moon, which form a conjunction and which define new moons in general in Taurus at 18 degrees. So think about, after all the energetic tidal waves of the preceding weeks that we've experienced, things are settling down right now. We're seeing things finalizing or clearing the dust, because that's been a theme that has come up repeatedly, especially in this week's weekly energy forecast. We've been able to process a lot of emotions, especially with the last full moon in Scorpio. Those were very, very deep emotions, particularly around things that ended or closed a huge chapter in our lives, or things that we no longer are going to return to or connect to in any way. It felt very much like an acceptance, a goodbye when you hit the depth and going back up. So now we are left with what we want to build or rebuild, especially in a way that feels comfortable, safe, maybe luxurious, which is going to be relative to everyone and how you define it. More importantly, how we're going to put it to good use towards our goals, towards the direction we're heading towards next. So I feel like this is very much a reset button, because now, again, a lot of things have shifted. We're in that period where now we say, now what? What do we do with all of this now that things have settled down a little bit? And I'll say a lot of it is really about updating our belief systems, our values as well. And if we still want to pursue the same things that we set out to do, perhaps earlier in the year or in different periods of our time. And I feel like for many folks, there's been a lot of changes where now you are realizing, yeah, I'm not staying in that job, or yeah, I don't want to continue volunteering here or going to school here or staying in these relationships. You may have received a lot of confirmation. And now this is the time to actually make those changes in your life and say, well, how can I get to where I want to go to next? So the moon is exalted here in Taurus. She's right at home. The sun has neither dignity or debility. But I'll say here, new moons in general, they're dark, and it's a period of rest, of reflection, reprieve, of receiving messages, especially your intuitive and psychic messages. So the new moon itself, on the day it occurs, May 7th or 8th, is not the time where you zip through. And I always say trust your guidance, because if you feel you have to, then do it. But generally the energy is really allowing us to become acclimated towards what's coming up for us, forming or reformulating a plan and getting that into motion so that by the first quarter moon, which will happen in the phase in Aries, Leo, in Leo on May 15th, that's when we can start taking tangible action steps. Themes coming up relate to personal matters. It could be private matters too, especially with the moon in Taurus, the home, the physical body, our health, community, and what that means. This also taps in friendships and relationships. Women, mothers, motherhood, fertility, ambitions, career, our vitality, and what we're doing with our life force energy, relationships, love, and values. So just a reminder, Taurus is ruled by Venus and is exalted in the moon. So we have Venus moon significations. So that may help you, especially wherever Taurus is in your chart. So some questions that came up for me that I simply want to pose that may help you with further reflection include: what does physical and emotional safety look like to you now? What does emotional and physical security look like for you? So we've got safety and security. What about your relationship to power, especially when it comes to other people, to authority, and to yourself stepping into authority, maybe being an authority of your own life, being responsible, making your own decisions? How have the changes, shifts, and perhaps unexpected transitions in your life altered these themes? How have the coming and going of people in your life impacted these themes? So there's been a lot, again, and a lot of these reflective questions really allow you to sit and help yourself feel into what is coming up for you, and also, what do I need to change? Because it's difficult to make changes if we don't know what changes we need to make, because we'll find ourselves meandering. And Taurus generally likes a plan. We have elements of control here, but in healthy ways you can use that to provide a blueprint to follow, to go forward, and to make any tweaks or changes along the way. Power isn't about controlling or manipulating other people. Those are the lower expressions here. It's about knowing who we are. What matters to us, in particular our truth, what feels very real for us. If you've noticed, especially in the past year in particular, and I feel like this could be probably since we were born, but in the past year in particular, there's been a lot of themes about constantly tapping into your authenticity, particularly with the North Node in Aries. What feels true to you? What do you need to let go of or step aside and say, this is me, this is what I'm doing for me, and what feels good for me, and I'm going to have to do it even if others don't support me. And this is also about how we maintain our sense of peace, inner peace, I should say, and equilibrium. So there's a lot of, I feel, relating to getting comfortable with, marinating in, and maybe even dissecting power and what that looks like for us, because a lot of these energies, especially with Taurus, I keep seeing a hammer, picking up a hammer. We're becoming the leaders of our own life, and we are the constructors of our own life. And Taurus, it's a builder energy too. And especially in this symbolic spring energy, we are planting seeds. Think of it like agriculture, crops, gardening. We're planting seeds, intentions for goals that we may want to see in full fruition, the full blooming of them, come up or come through, probably by the fall season. Fall, spring season, wherever you are in the world. So remember, it's all symbolically. The second theme coming up with this lunation is about finding stability through our dreams and desires. Hear me out. So the sun and moon, both at 18 degrees, form a sextile with Saturn at 17 degrees of Pisces. And it seems counterintuitive, but when we start going after what it is we desire and we take those steps no matter how small, we will start reaching an entirely different form of stability here. because sometimes we think we have to have it all planned out. We have to have everything, all the ducks in a row. We have to have everything secure, everything in its right place. In other words, things have to look a certain way, maybe perfect. And this could be due to a lot of reasons beyond the scope of this video too, right? How you grew up, trauma, if you've experienced poverty. It makes sense to have a lot of safety, security themes under your control in some way. But what's interesting is because we have a strong connection, channel, and emphasis on psychic and intuitive guidance, your spiritual connection, and tapping into more of those energies and helping you build the material, real life, earthly. I can touch things right now in your reality. This also means releasing some control in that you may not get all the answers that you want in an earthly sense, like looking up in a manual or in a book or calling someone and saying, what do I do? Many of this is going to require you trusting yourself and asking yourself, what am I feeling and what is coming to me? Because everyone, I feel, is getting messages, and sometimes they could be scary, not the messages in themselves, but what they're calling you to do. Because you're like, oh gosh, I feel like I need to leave this relationship, for example, or this job or the school or whatever it is. And that means entertaining some type of discomfort, some type of uncertainty and unknown. So when we start taking steps towards that uncertainty, towards the unknown and that discomfort, that's when we are going to find stability. If any of you have ever tapped into stories of how people did what they did, how they pivoted, transitioned, they started their own business or have done big things that really meant them stepping out of their own bubble, you'll notice that a lot of times things seem to stabilize. It doesn't mean it was coasting through, it was easy, they didn't face any challenges, no. But as they align more to their own values and what was calling to them in the forms of their own guidance or spiritual guidance, things started to stabilize in different ways. Because we often think, I'm going to stay at this job because I get a lot of money, but for different reasons, people don't feel stable because it causes burnout, it affects their mental health, spiritual health, etc. So these are all, that's why I asked a lot of questions, and they came up very quickly about really defining what that means to you and how you can start taking those steps. And I feel the Taurian energy is very much protective of making sure that you do so in a way that you're still moving forward, you're still taking a risk, but that this risk is also safeguarding your emotional body, how you feel, especially with the moon's energy here. The lunation here is asking us to find growth, maturation, discipline through steady, consistent, and committed hard work. And I should say Saturn too. We're changing how we are relating to our emotional and physical security with both luminaries here. Some themes I kept hearing, because when I was sitting with some of these energies, I kept getting time clocks and seeing clocks and feeling like, you know, when you run a race, you're obviously trying to beat a certain time or to complete the race in a certain time frame. You may feel like time is ticking, like you haven't done much, you haven't done anything to show for, like there's nothing that you can say, yeah, I've been working on this and here are the results. You may be feeling behind, and there's a main theme around time, which is Saturn's signification here. Saturn is helping us through in this sextile by boosting our reserve, our seriousness. It's like, okay, let's get real, let's get this shit together, let's look at reality. That's Saturn. But it's doing so in a way to propel us to start taking steps and just do so in a way that allows us to see the growth that we want. Because discipline, putting in that work or energy, and being responsible for it, because essentially that means we're being responsible for ourselves and our lives, that's going to allow us to start seeing those results come through. So pay attention, especially to your dreams, because the moon's a big player here. Naturally, this is a new moon, but in particular in Taurus, because those messages I feel are going to be like the manual I talked about earlier, that form of guidance that you may be looking for in an earthly sense, you're going to get in a more spiritual sense, and that is something you can bring with you to help you create or contribute to that creation, to those different goals and areas of your life that you're looking to change or to concretize. Also look into Neptune as well with any messages, feelings, and knowings. A lot of emphasis, especially with this lunation, on the embodiment, somatic, go down into your body. I don't, and this is just a mere suggestion, so always do what you want. I feel like with this lunation, tapping into something creative, putting on a music, your favorite music, song, it could be art, is going to allow you to move, and you want to feel this, not analyze it up here, because that's where you're going to get the messages. Most of us know what we already need to do. We just have to sit and listen quietly. That's why doing things that allow you to get in touch with your body is going to allow you to start feeling some of this. Because sometimes this is the cautionary point. When you do journaling, for instance, it's really easy to get in your head and to go down a rabbit hole and to keep, who knows, it's a cathartic process, which has many great benefits, but sometimes you get so much in your head that you're not really feeling you're up here. That's why I am suggesting for this lunation, get into your body. Go hiking, relax, do maybe a somatic yin or restorative yoga, qigong, tai chi, float in a pool or in a tank or in your bathtub. Do something that allows you to simply connect with your body and ask yourself what's coming up. I also feel like I kept getting support, especially with Saturn here. So this lunation, you may want to reach out, or someone may come to you, or you will get some type of intuitive or spiritual message about finding support and accountability from a guide, a mentor, a coach, a therapist, a trusted friend or family. I got animal creature too, especially with the Neptunian octave, maybe like a sanctuary or an inanimate object. Think workbook, book, or journal. Journal only to express thoughts, not to analyze them. They could be helpful to make your dreams or goals tangible at this time. So those are some potential resources that may be coming your way or that you are already getting an inkling for in terms of adding to your toolkit. The third theme here is slow and steady wins the race. I know this is a snail, but this is also from Aesop's fable about the turtle and the hare. Pluto is at 2 degrees of Aquarius right now and forms a sextile, or will form a sextile to Mars at 5 degrees of Aries. And this alignment gives me the Energizer Bunny determination. There's that bunny, it was for a battery commercial in the United States. I think Energizer is the name of the brand, but regardless, it's about batteries. And they were trying to say, well, if you use these batteries in this puppet rabbit, it'll essentially last forever because it'll keep going and going and going. This is the energy that I get with the ferocity and the intensity of Pluto and with Mars to be very consistent, very determined. Caution to not burn out, but it can give you laser focus, both of these energies together in this alignment. Also boost your vitality and energy, especially if it's something that you have your heart set on, and gives you the drive to go after what it is you want. And that's why I kept getting slow and steady, because it's so easy to rush into it. It's kind of like when you're excited to start a new workout routine and you're like, I'm going to the gym 7 days a week. I'm eating healthy every single day. And you become very strict, very maybe narrow. What is it called? Tunnel focus, tunnel vision. Like it becomes very narrow and you think it has to be a certain way and you just dive in. And very quickly you may find yourself burnt out. So as you proceed in rebuilding certain areas of your life or changing things, changing up your routines, your habits, your systems that support these goals, and also your energy, how you take care of yourself is going to be key. Self-care is huge with Taurus. Remember, Venus and Moon, those two are together are the epitome of nurturing yourself, taking care of your body, your mind, your emotions, your mental health. And so all of these themes together remind us, yes, go after your goals. Start thinking about them, plan them, but also make sure to take care of you. Make sure to do this at a pace that is sustainable, that's not going to burn you out. And I'll just tell you, quick note, being an entrepreneur, I'm grateful. But I'll just tell you, it feels like a lot more work than working for someone else, like maybe an 8 to 5 job, because there are no boundaries in terms of hours. You've got to set them yourself. And you have to remind yourself, yeah, there's always going to be something to do. And I say this because I feel like so many folks are going to be re-energized, revitalized, and they may be ready to make changes and they may zoom in. So really caution yourself and make sure that you focus on that process, because with Pluto here, it's reminding us the destination itself is not the end goal. That's not the prize here. It's the journey. That's where you're going to learn and you're going to experience and see the growth that you want. That's also where all the exciting stuff happens, not the goal itself, because think about this. Once you reach the goal, what are you going to do? Yeah, you'll celebrate, you'll be proud of yourself and happy. Then you're going to ask, what's next? And a lot of that can be attributed to just the human desire and tendency to keep going and growing. But the process itself allows you to recognize smaller, maybe sub goals or mini goals. And that's where you do all the learning, because we're always going to have new goals popping up. That's also where we are going to learn the most, and it's going to happen incrementally. Again, Pluto will be in Aquarius permanently in the fall, spring season, wherever you are in the world, for the next 20 years. So we're getting insights here of how to use our energies in different ways too, and how to incorporate more of the Taurian energies as we build and rebuild. We also have to align to our truth here and let go, and be ready to let go of anything, anyone that doesn't align with that. That's why it's important this season with Taurus. It's a great time to really delineate your values. That is something that is like a compass that will help keep you going in the direction that you want. And it also will start allowing you to tap into what feels true to you, even if it doesn't look like other people. Mars is in its domicile here. So again, I feel like something that came up through a channeled message for me was you may find yourself organically releasing and cutting out anything that isn't helpful or supportive towards your goals, towards this new direction and rebuilding process of your life, especially when it comes to safety and security. People, things, belief systems you may have thought were there for you, that supported you and that were going to be there for the long haul, you may be finding that are falling apart. They're just naturally going away, or you're like, it's not really where I want to put my energy or time anymore. So if it doesn't fit, it may be released. Also, when you're working towards whatever you care about, you may realize, I don't really want to put time into this situation or this relationship or this drama or whatever it is. You want to make better use of your time. And this is another theme being highlighted with this new moon in Taurus. It's not just about rebuilding your life in different areas and boosting it, going after your goals and reformulating that, but also about taking care of yourself. A lot of energy here about taking care of yourself in ways that really feel good to you, but you got to define it. And I think what's key here is making sure that you don't compare yourself to other people. It's really easy to see someone doing like a 20-step routine and they're like, I have the life of my dreams. Is that the way you say it? I have my dream life and this is what I'm doing. And you're like, that's exhausting. That's probably because it's not in line with your values. And that's what's being called right now. It's super important. So time wasters, again, negative Nancy's, conflict, drama, hot, cold energies, all of that, I feel people are just like, nope, not putting my energy or time there. So I want to say too, Pluto is in Aquarius and its ruler in traditional astrology is Saturn. And it's in aversion right now because Saturn is in Pisces, which is next door on the zodiacal wheel to Aquarius. So it's going to be very key here that you trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your psychic messages and what you are sensing. I call it your antenna, like the feelers. You're not going to feel up here in your brain. It's going to be in your body. Reminder, right? Whenever you meet someone, you may get a certain feeling. Trust it, no matter how that package looks like. I should say the body, the person. And the final message here with this new moon in Taurus, access your spiritual guidance. With Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, forming a sextile to Uranus at 22 degrees, and also Jupiter at 25 degrees of Taurus. Again, it's not exact at this time, but Neptune is applying towards an exact sextile with Uranus, which will occur in 2025 over the next few years. And with Jupiter at 25 degrees, Jupiter and Neptune will form an exact sextile on May 21st. Excuse me, May 23rd. May 21st, it'll be in the same degrees, but it'll exact, or perfect, I should say, on May 23rd. So just to let you know, the energies are still valid. They're still, I feel, strong because they're within 4 to 7 degrees here with Jupiter and Uranus each respectively. So Neptune is right now in the 29th degree, which is the energetic degree. And here we're reaching levels, I feel, of maturation, or we're maturing, mastery. and wrapping up a cycle with that planet and any associated themes. So check out where Neptune is right now in Pisces, in which house I should say in your natal chart, or themes you may just feel organically or intuitively, because these are things that we are finalizing over the next couple of years when Neptune finally leaves Pisces and enters Aries. Jupiter in Taurus emphasizes our need here for security, for safety, for abundance, material things. It could be home too, love, and also money and home. Neptune reminds us here to tap into things we may not always see, things we may not always understand, but we feel them. Tap into our spiritual team guidance, our psychic and spiritual senses, beliefs, and also our values, and bridge that into the earthly reality in some way. And this was something I mentioned earlier about some of the guidance that we're getting is not going to come from other people, but it's going to come from ourselves and our spiritual team. So be open to what you're receiving and what you're feeling, because a lot of opportunities I feel are going to come for so many folks, and they may seem amazing, but then you receive it and your body is telling you no, no. So that's why it's important to follow the guidance that you're feeling now. Not saying to discount, logic, but a lot of these energies are telling us your answers, and what's coming through is going to come through those realms. With the Uranian aspect to Neptune, I feel like some of these messages are also going to reveal to use ways we can change our physical realities down here, especially new ways. So you may get sudden epiphanies, a sudden aha moment that's going to change maybe the course of how you do something in your life or which direction you go in. But it's essentially to help you ground that into the earthly realm. So a lot of Venusian energy coming here with earthy Taurus and watery Pisces that really are going to help one another. It's that bridge. Imagine the bridge being more of the psychic spiritual realm, and then when you get off the bridge, you're on the earthly Taurian realm. And so they go hand in hand with this lunation. So a lot of the construction is coming from those realms. So pay attention. I feel like a lot of dreams are happening. You can also be getting, I'm seeing symbols, signs, things people say to you. Pay attention, especially everyone receives messages very differently. So if you're clairaudient, you may want to pay attention to songs, messages people tell you, things that are coming up, sudden words, messages, quotes that ring a bell with you or connect to you. Same thing if you're clairvoyant. A lot of times I get messages when I'm watching movies and I'm like, ooh. So anything visual, it could be pictures, it could be connecting to, if you have an altar, to ancestors, so much more. Let's tap into the channeled messages. I got 3 here, and the first is finding new ways of strength. I always hear music, which is interesting. I'm clairaudient too, and I have several clairs. And I just share this because I know I'm not the only one. I kept hearing the song in Pinocchio, which is interesting because I don't think I've ever seen the full movie of Pinocchio. And it's sung by Cliff Edwards, who was a vaudeville singer back, I think in the 20s, 30s, 40s. He was at his height then, but he sang that song, When You Wish Upon a Star. That was created or sung in 1940. And I'll link all the songs that I mentioned below, simply for reference. I don't get paid, so you can listen to them, because the lyrics in particular, I kept seeing the lyrics popping and flashing. I feel like they're going to have a message for all of you in this lunation and season of your life. There's a big theme here around internal strength and digging deep within you to find intrinsic motivation to stay the course and go after your dreams. And let me make a distinction. I heard this song in the background, and it was distinct from the message though, finding new ways of strength. And the message from the song, I feel, taps into a variety of messages. So I just want to be clear. So this message came through strongly about not looking outside of yourself for external validation, for your main source of strength. Don't be dependent on anything else outside of you, especially when it comes to your inner source of power. The strength comes from you. And in particular, I kept seeing light, like a column of light. So for me, that was a direct towards the universe. It could be God, it could be source, divine, goddess, whatever you call it energy. That's a connection because everyone has that channel available to them. And so your main source of strength, I feel like it's the message was really asking about tapping into it for yourself and realizing that everything you need is always within you. Because some folks may have been very dependent on others for a variety of things, whether it was for validation and doing what they're doing, their life goals, their trajectory, their career. And this is allowing you to start amping up and start almost like refiring yourself, gaining more of that power within yourself and filling that up for yourself because it'll feel different. It's also okay to rest or pause. That's something that came through big and that connected to the slow and steady message. It's also very much okay to rest or pause. That's why sustainability and doing things steady but consistently is key with this lunation. This is also about tapping into something existential. In other words, having more meaning or purpose in our lives. So that's why I kept bringing up values. Core values are going to be different for everyone. Even if you're working in the same field with someone, you may have very different core values. A single person versus someone who's a parent may value family in different ways. For example, it doesn't mean you don't. You may, but that's just a very quick example. And this existential connotation that came up with finding strength within yourself and also something larger connecting to what gives you meaning in life, which could be several things, not just consolidated in something that's singular. This is connected to the full moon in Sagittarius on May 23rd, by the way. So there's a connection here happening. The Taurian energy reminds us to build something long-lasting and not cheap, not something flimsy. And that goes with our foundations and goals in life. So there's a strong focus to really tap into what you want to do, what you're capable of, what you want to be capable of in this season, and not copying other people and not looking outside of yourself for that. Invest some of your time and energy into relating what strength means to you and where you can draw it from that isn't dependent on others. So this is another reflective point on how you can start boosting your inner strength bubble, making or increasing, I should say, that level of confidence or strength within yourself. And a lot of times this means starting to make decisions for yourself. Again, I want to preface this, maybe a disclaimer, and say it doesn't mean you can't ask people, like, how does this outfit look? What do you think of this? But try to make your decision first. And it takes practice, especially if you're someone that tends to reach out to others for help or asking questions like that. It can feel a little bit odd, but this is also going to start fomenting your own inner muscle. I also want to say it's the tiny spark embedded within you that will always stay lit during the toughest times, and that's your little inner strength bubble. Because at times you may find that you may be going through difficult times, and you may have experienced this recently where the people you thought were going to support you, especially people in community, didn't in the way that you needed it. And so a lot of times when we are faced with that and in those situations, the only source of strength we can tap into is ourselves and then something bigger, if it aligns for you. But you can call it energy, universe, God, spirit, source, or your higher self. Strength may also have come from putting up some type of bravado here, persona, mask, even arrogance, or fill in the blank, or anything that wasn't helpful. And sometimes we have to unpack that, unlayer that, undo that to find where that true source of strength comes from for ourselves to keep going. And especially when it's something that requires endurance or longevity. I keep getting marathon energy, which doesn't mean you have to run a marathon or you're into that. But if you're doing something long term, maybe saving up for a house, or planning to have children, for example, or working on your degree, or counting down to retirement, which can seem, there's a lot of years. There's a level of endurance and commitment, but also inner strength to keep that goal in mind and realizing, okay, I got maybe, if you're 18, you got quite a bit of time, 50 plus years to retirement. How do I keep myself motivated? This is what it's leaning into. And I also found that the strength that kept coming up was about leaning into something you enjoy and you love. Taurian pleasures are mini indulgences being highlighted here, which can be about your core values, buffering your hard work with pleasures and enjoyment. So in whatever you choose to do, if you are wanting to start your own business, revamp your lifestyle in some way, like your health, work on relationships, whatever it is, make sure that you integrate different practices that allow you to still enjoy life and not just constantly think, okay, I got to build, 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 or keep going in that way. There's perhaps, I'm thinking of the words because they just popped in and they disappeared. There's something about finding ways to maybe balance but manage all of this that is sustainable, because it's an endurance effect that keeps coming through. Second channeled message, remember your dreams and dream the impossible. This was very much connected to that Pinocchio song. What was it called? When You Wish Upon a Star. And it's well known, I think, for many people, especially if you have kids or you've tapped into that. So there's a message here around hope, dreams, what feels good to you and not anyone else. And be careful what you see around you, what people tell you or what you tell people, and the messages you receive about your life, because for so many reasons, not everyone can support you in the way that you want, and sometimes people project, and sometimes people want to do what you do, but they can't communicate that, and so it doesn't translate into something that supports you or nourishes you or feels good. I've already mentioned this ad nauseum. Venus and the moon, big significations here with Taurus, and both are being highlighted. The moon is dealing with significations around remembrance. That's where we get, the French term souvenir, but even when you go travel and you get souvenirs to collect, it's to remember. It means to remember. Nostalgia, the past, our homes, our bodies, safety, security, and nourishment. And then with Venus, we have sensuality, indulgence, beauty, romance, and values. Both also represent women, motherhood, fertility. So I feel like the cartoons that came through in the Disney reference, it was more about connecting to your inner child, to ways of nurturing yourself and nourishing your soul, and also connecting to parts or maybe different phases of your life, especially as a child, where you may not have had the opportunity to have enjoyed being a child. You may not have experienced that phase of innocence where you could just enjoy life, because not everyone experienced the same type of childhood. And I feel like these energies are reminding us that as comfortable as it is to stay where we are, because it may feel safe or represent safety, however we define it, if it doesn't feel good anymore, then it's time to do something about that. It's time to change. The theme too about remembering your dreams and dreaming the impossible is not to limit yourself, which is why I mentioned some of these themes around inner child, and be careful of how you share or what you share with others, because not everyone is always ready to receive your excitement, your joy in creating what it is you want for your life, simply because of where they're at in their journey. That's why some projections come up, and that could stifle and affect your own ability to go forward with your goals. So that's why I said earlier, security and safety are big themes. That includes people. Who makes you feel safe? Who doesn't? Because it's important here to guard, I'm not going to say secrets, even though the moon rules over secrets, but your goals, which could be part of your own secret vault. Your goals, anything private, anything that you really want to go towards. Finally, last channeled message, embrace who you really are. I kept seeing Ferdinand the Bull, and I'm like, I can't believe all these Disney references, but it's a 1938 cartoon. I'll link it below. It's a short one. I think it's 7 or 8 minutes. Very Taurian, because this bull, Ferdinand, didn't use his power in the way most bulls do, especially when it comes to bullfighting, or La Corrida de Toros in Spain, which is where this is set around. And instead of fighting with a matador, he was busy sniffing flowers, very dreamy, like very Taurian. You got to watch the cartoon. I think it is very emblematic. And this is how the message came through, because some of you may embrace life very differently from others in your family system, in your generation, in your culture, in your tradition, or in some aspect of what you do in life, your field, your industry, etc. Something that differentiates you. And you may feel like you are on a different or unique path where there's not a lot of other people that do what you do. And there could be hesitation to constantly mold or to go back to what was or what other people want you to be, especially when it comes to values or aligning or creating your life in a certain way. And this message, and particularly the cartoon, because Ferdinand was content and his mother was a cow. And cows represent motherhood, fertility, femininity, receptivity, and so many other themes related to the moon and to Venus. So this is about really tapping into ourselves, because Ferdinand the bull here, his mother supported him, which was key. But he, I feel, would have still enjoyed and stayed and continued doing what he did because he loved it. And having another supporter helped. But this is to say, too, he tapped into different expressions of who he was as a bull, which we don't commonly see. And it's really, about embracing that unique aspect of yourself. It could be just like Ferdinand, but it could be something different. Like maybe your value is different. You're not wanting to live lifestyles like other people, or you don't care about name brands, or whatever it is. There's so many things here. So the nourishment we seek from others in the form of strength, which taps into the first channel message, and going after our dreams, it may have been distorted along the way growing up at any point. So that's why a lot of these themes are coming up right now for many of us. So that means that some of us embraced shells or facades of who we thought we had to be in order to survive, to live, or to contend to a certain ideal that simply wasn't real for us, that wasn't true or aligned, or it didn't connect to us in some way. So this is your opportunity to embrace your inner Ferdinand by getting clear on what matters to you, and that's namely having to do with your values. When you know those, then they can help form a compass of sorts that can help you tap in to remember, like the moon, why you're doing what you're doing, because that's the main key with all of these energies. So we're going to dive into the all signs, you all. It's important to remember these are very, very general and collective. Take a look at your own personal placements and natal chart, because it may show up differently, especially if you have planets and aspects that they make to one another, and they'll speak to each other differently. We are starting with Aries. Okay, Aries, this new moon in Taurus is happening in your second house of income, finances, what you do, material possessions, wealth. And there could be, for some of you, a new beginning when it comes to this income stream, the way that you bring in money. Some of you, if you're applying to jobs or even looking for additional ways to earn income streams, I could feel like this is the start of it, or you're going to see more opportunities where you're going to receive different forms of money coming through. Same thing with your material possessions. I feel like there's a relationship changing here. Some of you may have been going through like a decluttering phase, or cleaning up, or asking yourself, what is coming with me in this next chapter of my life? What is not coming with me? Because I feel like there's a renewal here happening where you may have changed styles, you may have changed, again, beliefs or values and things that resonated with you, especially your stuff, your belongings. You may be paring down. Some of you may be, I'm getting this, maybe holding like a garage sale, tag sale. They have different names. You may be selling your products or belongings too. I don't know why I said products. Maybe some of you are starting a business. You may be selling your stuff for extra income too, like Poshmark, maybe creating your own side hustle, things like that. We have Venus here in the second house. So some of you, this fits in line. Some of you could be selling some of products relating to beauty, Venusian themes, also comfort bedding, and changing up your home in general in this season. And I feel like that's going to have an impact too. I feel like it's supportive of the potential income stream or streams that are coming in for you, because you're realigning what it is that you want to do and also what it is that you're letting go of. So Saturn in Neptune it forms a superior sextile to both the moon and the sun here. And so I feel like some of you could also be getting assistance from, could be a mentor, an older person, maybe female, or folks that live in other countries. It could be like foreign investments, people that you work with or collaborate with, or in some way these people are located in other places that helps bring in this income stream. But because we have Pisces here in your 12th house, I also feel like this could come from your spiritual team. So psychic intuitive messages. If any of you have strong connections to ancestors or a certain, we'll say, guide, it could be anyone in your spiritual team. They could also be giving you guidance on different ways to boost this area of life. I also feel like for many of you, Aries, especially Aries rising, your values have shifted in this new moon. Some of you are rebuilding that because of the changes you've undergone. And again, we have the nodes, North Node in particular, in your first house. So many of you are changing on a shit ton level. I said that differently or wrong, but you're changing big time here, which means that your values are probably also shifting. What's important to you, what matters. Yeah, I see overall, I keep seeing a red carpet with you guys. There's an unveiling of a new way of life, a new way of living, where some of you are pressing the reset button. Some of you may have started anew, especially since we have transit Mars in your first house, where you may be cutting away a lot of things that are not helpful or supportive for you anymore, having to do with yourself, your body, who you are, your identity. Could have to do with career too. Some of you may have cut a career out as a result, or you're taking your energy, you're taking your time elsewhere. My Aries risings, I hope this helped. Thank you so much for being here. My Taurus risings and suns and moons, but it may differ because of the house placement. This full moon in Taurus is happening in your first house of self-expression, your soul essence, your vitality. It could be your career, ambition, occupation in life, like what you're doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be work entailed. Also authority figures, father figures, and more. So there's a rebirth, an awakening here. I feel like many of my Taurus risings, but anywhere if you have a bunch of energy in the Taurus area of your natal chart, big changes, especially with the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction that occurred in Taurus, no less, and there's a lot of activity happening, particularly as Jupiter is preparing to make its exit out and into Gemini in a few weeks. This new moon, I feel like a brand new you is peeling back. Some of you may feel reborn. And of course, we're still in your season 2. So many of you are celebrating your birthdays, Taurus suns. So happy birthday to you guys. And I feel like there's a whole new way of living, new being, as if you have decided to move the curtains and you're looking through a different window and you're seeing a different perspective. Upgrade in that as well. I feel like many of you have been taking care of your body, or you will be, or taking more care about what you eat, how you move, your exercise, how you sleep, like all the wellness stuff. It's being highlighted here. And with Venus here, your ruler, I feel like this is pumping you up too, to also reconsider your style, how you look, how you take care of yourself, your routines, everything related to that, to make sure that you feel your best going forward. And also because the moon and the sun are here with this lunation, there's a huge emphasis for you with this new moon in Taurus to really revitalize, upgrade, and update any systems, routines, and habits that impact yourself, your vitality, your energy, and who you are. Some of you are going to take maybe new jobs because we have the sun here as well. And first house could also signify at times your self-identity and who you are. So some of you may be embracing or looking for new opportunities with this new moon, or considering new jobs, or simply changing the way that you are expressing yourself to the world. So that could be title, how people refer to you, your name, etc. With Saturn in Pisces at 17 degrees, forming a superior sextile to your first house, the moon and sun in particular, in your 11th house, I should say, of patrons, of allies, of benefactors, of friends, and this is also good luck as well. General support with your networks. I feel you're receiving with this lunation support from, it could be with a more spiritual element, especially with Saturn and Pisces, but I feel like these are from older folks that support you. They could be mentors, bosses, people in your network that look out for you. These are people that could be, especially for those of you that keep getting careers. Some of you are getting new jobs, wanting to explore a new career, new profession, being seen in a new way, or using your energy in a different way. So even if you're retired, your main work, because again, it doesn't have to be going to a 9 to 5. It could be changing, like what you're doing with your time and energy. And you're receiving a lot of support from people in your community. So they could give you new leads, new opportunities, help you by spreading the word, help you with any resources they have. I feel like that's going to offer you a lot of changes going forward with this lunation. Some of you are also working, again, a crap load of Venusian themes here, are working on your home, renovating it, decorating it, changing it, making it feel how you feel now, because I feel like your identities have upgraded, so you're matching a lot of things as a result. So some of you are doing home improvement projects, gardening, tending to your home. Some of you could be moving homes with this new moon as well because of a job, since they are conjunct one another. Or you may be moving to find a job. We also have Neptune here offering some support through a sextile to Jupiter and Uranus. So really pay attention. I think Venus and the moon in particular, who is exalted in Taurus, in your sign, are really offering support at this time to trust what you're feeling and to not be afraid of taking any risks at this time, because I feel like you're getting that support coming through, especially I'll say intuitively and psychically at this time. And it may be quickly, it may happen quickly, I should say, like an epiphany, where you realize that something needs to change. Same thing with Jupiter and Neptune. Okay, my Tauruses, I hope this has helped. My Geminis, this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 12th house of the subconscious, of solitude, of self-retreat. This could also be illness, hardships, challenges, foreign cultures, travel. And generally, some folks say the house of undoing, but I feel like it's also relating to spirituality. So, my Geminis, I feel like you may be building or rebuilding possible connections to what spirituality means, or several things coming through. Some of you may be focused on building a routine or some type of connection, like a spiritual practice in your life that is really helping you revolve or deal with some things coming back, whether from the past, it could be things that you are healing from as well, or how you can navigate and process hard and difficult times. Because when you have some type of support system, whether it comes from the ethereal realms, from the other side, or even people close to you, it's important to have something consistent in your life. And I feel like there's an exploration here. With the moon here in particular, you may be asking, what does home mean like to you? What does it feel like? Some of you may be contending or thinking about moving, particularly with the moon here. You may be thinking about moving, it could be abroad or somewhere further away from your home, because foreign travel or longer distance could mean within the country you're in, but just further away. I also see here with this new moon in Taurus, there's a deeper realization that taking care of yourself, your body, self-love practices, and really asking yourself, how can I pour more into myself, are going to be highlighted. And key points to focus on with this lunation, particularly if you have been focused on healing, on really protecting your energy and spending more time on rebuilding what that means to you. It's almost as if you may have taken some time out and said, I need to focus on rebuilding myself, or rebuilding what self-love means to me, so that I can offer that to myself first before offering it to others. With Saturn and Pisces forming a superior sextile to your sun and moon in the 10th house, some of you are also potentially going to be changing jobs, careers in particular. There's a huge focus here where you may decide it's time, this is it. I feel like I want to build towards a new career path in my life, especially with the sun in the 12th, forming a sextile with Saturn. And so some of you may really level it up with this lunation and say, okay, we're going to get our job hunt together. You may start letting people know, putting out your resume, your CV, applying to jobs. Some of you may be going abroad or potentially working solo. So maybe entrepreneurship or taking time to create something that is separate from what you're doing. It could be a side hustle or working behind the scenes, where think of like videography or even YouTube. I could see something like that happening, or working more one-on-one with clients behind the scenes that's not advertised or seen by others. If you have a mentor, especially I'm getting a male one, male figure, could be father figure with the sun in the 12th. There could be someone coming in to help you with career exploration, with simply where you want to go in this next chapter of your life. When I say career, I mean it very broadly. Your main direction in life, what you want to do with your time and energy at this point. That could be going to school for some, that could be I'm ready to go into retirement and turn towards pleasure, whatever it is. Yep. I hope this helped, my Geminis. Thank you so much for being here. My Cancers, welcome to your new moon in Taurus reading. So this lunation is happening in your 11th house of allies, benefactors, patrons, supporters, groups, networks, also hopes, wishes, desires, and good luck, because this is a good luck house as well. So with this new moon, some of you are changing or have been revamping or are opening up to new communities of support. Perhaps those that feel more at home and more aligned to your values now. And with Venus currently co-present with the sun and moon in Taurus, which is her natural domicile, some of you may be expanding more of your friendships with women or with feminine energies, or coming into contact with people that are more helpful in that arena. To me, this also speaks of love, self-love, and perhaps forming communities that are more aligned to what it is you're looking for in relationships, because usually it expands across all types of relationships that we have. So there's a strengthening here of connecting with people that are you may feel like they're like soulmates, like-minded, you've just known them before. That's really going to offer a lot of support and nourishment to you at this time. Particularly since we have Saturn in Pisces at 17 degrees forming a superior sextile to your sun and moon in the 11th house. So some of you may meet these folks through travels. I would say a variety of distances, through pilgrimages. These could also be potential teachers in your life that are going to support you. And I can see them being part of your network and also meeting them separately, and they become part of your network since they are connected here. And these could be religious figures, spiritual teachers, anyone that you feel is like a guide for you. There's a change in beliefs happening here, spiritual beliefs that you maybe feel has fomented or changed with this new moon in Taurus, where again, this goes with values. And so as a result, your network may feel like it's shifted or will be shifting quite a bit with this lunation. Some of you, I'm getting like an expiration date. Whatever you have explored or where you were before, particularly in the preceding months, may no longer fit you. I also feel like there's a respite. I think that's how you say it, a pause. There's a pause for some of you too with exploring or with, how do you say this? With exploring or staying within belief systems that you've held on for so long. These could be philosophies, worldviews too, dealing with spirituality as well. But I see a positive connection here more than anything, because your 9th and your 11th house here are connected by a sextile with this lunation, and I feel like they're helping one another. So a lot of people coming in through your community and networks, I feel, are going to offer you some type of space or offer some type of positive influence with that path with the ninth house and exploration as well. Some of you may be at this time simply exploring what it is you may want to do in this next chapter of your life. Because the ninth house could also be one of higher learning. It's broadcast and publishing too, but it's also, I feel, a time where you can take more journeys, metaphorical, but also physical, like geographical journeys, pilgrimages of sorts, to learn more about a particular topic or learn more about what you do. And in Pisces, I feel like this could be a retreat of sorts where you take care of yourself, or one where you are putting in some type of knowledge or learning to practice, particularly with the Piscean energy here ruled by Jupiter. Right now we have Jupiter in your 11th house of Taurus. This could connect again to practices around spirituality, the divination, occult, etc. I feel like there's a positive boost of people coming in here that's going to offer and expand opportunities for you. My Cancers, I hope this has helped. Thank you so much. My Leos, welcome to your new moon in Taurus reading. So this lunation is happening in your 10th house of career, of your visibility, legacy, public image, and simply what it is you are doing right now. It doesn't have to be work, but what your main occupation is at this time. And so some of you may be reconsidering changes in your job, or simply elevating. In other words, maybe promoting, going up the ladder, or simply changing positions in what you do. I also feel like because we have Taurus in here in the 10th, some of you are wanting to grow in your current responsibilities and career. So there's promotion energy here and longevity here, building something sustainable. I also feel like some of you may change jobs simply because we have the moon here in the 10th. You may be wanting to travel or change jobs or find something more supportive, more nourishing of where you are right now and what you're doing. And we have Venus here as well in the 10th house. So you may be opening up again to things that feel more supportive, more nourishing. There's a connection here with your values, a lot of reconsideration of whether or not you may want to stay in this area or not. There's an upgrade, I feel. Some of you are going to build, and some of you are going to leave and rebuild elsewhere because it's opposite your 4th house, and we don't have any transiting planets or bodies right now in the 4th, but you may have some in your natal chart that are pinging too. So this has a potential to impact your home, family life in ways that lend to more balance, to more beauty, to build something stronger, and also something that's aligned to your values. Some of you may change jobs that's focused on helping other people. If you are in a job right now where you are ready to make a pivot and it's not something that fits what you're doing anymore, or where you're putting your energy, some of you may be going into the next phase of your life where you're helping people, like a helping career, because I see Venus in here. Of course, it could have to do with Venusian themes around art, beauty, style, physical appearance, but it could also be focused on helping women maybe rebuild their lives, people that have lost things or that are from a vulnerable population. We have Saturn in Pisces at 17 degrees, forming a superior sextile to your sun and the moon from the 8th house. So some of you could be also getting support from other people, particularly when it comes to this public interface, public image, visibility in your occupation, what it is that you're doing right now with your energy. But I also feel like there could be a positive ending in that, I say, where you have that choice yourself. Like I mentioned, I feel like there could be changes here where you have the ability, or you've known, I'm going to put in my 2 weeks notice, or I'm going to change. Maybe I don't want to be in school anymore, so I'm not going to be a student, right? I'm going to transition to something different. Because I feel like Saturn too can signify time's up, lessons learned, or you're ready to grow more and mature more in this area of life. I'm getting something about fears and vulnerabilities and working with others. So if any of you are in jobs that maybe means that you're going to be working with other people closely, or you have a lot of clients or people that you work with that may be, again, dealing with fears, or that may be from a certain population, this is being highlighted with this new moon. I want to say for some of you, whatever position you're going in, whether it's work or something where you put your energy in, I feel like it's helping you to also resolve some fears. Fears about taking risks, fears about the unknown, fears about following your heart and your intuition, especially if it's something you've dedicated yourself, but you're like, it doesn't fit me anymore. I feel like you're leaning into that, and this lunation is going to support and help you more to grow in a different way. That, when you have to make a change, but that change is going to lead to something better, or you have to make that change because where you are, you can't stay there anymore. You're going to see that result start to foment. My Leos, I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for being here. My Virgos, Virgo risings, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 9th house of higher learning, publishing and broadcast, spirituality. It could also be retreats or pilgrimages, dreams, like the dreams that you have when you fall asleep and you dream. Also divination, astrology, travels as well with the 9th house. It could be foreign travels, but it could also be any distance type of travel. Also has to do with anything, like I mentioned, occult, aliens, UFOs, technology. But with Taurus here, in particular with the sun or moon, I feel like some of you I'm getting solidifying. So if your beliefs have changed, if some of you have recently come into some interest or some topic, or maybe a point of learning that really calls to you, I can see with this lunation that you're going to help consolidate that process, where it's going to allow you to continue down that road to continue building and learning and growing in that area. There's been a lot of changes for you, especially with Uranus and Jupiter transiting in your 9th house for several years, and with Jupiter obviously a year coming up and moving out pretty soon. Some of you, especially with the moon here, may feel called to travel or to simply change where you are right now. And I feel like for those of you that are going to be traveling soon, this has to do with your career too. Several things happening. With the moon, some of you are going to be traveling more or changing your home. That's going to shift your own perspective naturally and the people you come into contact with. With the sun here in Taurus in your 9th house, in whatever you do currently, whether it's schooling or your job, work, career, profession, retirement, the people that are coming around you at this time are also helping you see your life, yourself, and just the broader worldview differently. They're adding to that conversation. So I see a mix of both, because I know Uranus may have made things quite changeable, flexible throughout the last several years that it's been in Taurus. Venus in the 9th house, some of you are going to be meeting a lot more. It depends, it's going to be very different. Romance, I can see for some of you through these avenues and themes I've mentioned, but also friendships, love. It could be romantic, but also platonic love with the moon and with Venus here. The sun is in its joy too in the 9th house. So it's strong here, and you may be feeling more revitalized, more confident of yourself. You may be feeling just you're at a point in your life where you just feel like things are falling into place. I'll also say you have Saturn at 17 degrees in Pisces forming a superior sextile, and I'm bending my head because I have the chart here, to your sun and moon in the 9th house. So partnerships right now are big. Some of you may be meeting a lot of a lot of different types of relationships, male and female, signified by the moon. And I'll say Venus is co-present with the moon by 8 degrees. So I would say a lot of you are also meeting female or very nurturing, supportive, kind, maybe empathetic people in your life right now that really support you, that make you feel safe, and that are helping you evolve spiritually. Because of the ninth and seventh house relation, I could feel some of these may feel faded for you. Some of these may feel otherworldly, ethereal. You can call them soulmates, platonic or romantic, where you're just connecting to people that support you and value you. And we have Saturn in your seventh. These could be older people, people that are like mentors to you or teachers or guides. It could be father or mother figure, it doesn't matter, but they could be people that are also at a level of maturity that you've reached where it feels reciprocal and supportive. And I feel like that's helping you overall mature in the ninth house energies, especially since Jupiter's about to ingress in a few weeks into Gemini, which is going to help you in your career. My Virgo risings, Virgo suns, I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for being here. My Libras, this new moon in Taurus is happening in your 8th house of endings, other people's resources. It could be a spouse's or a partner's resources, or anyone that you are in some type of partnership with and you get some remuneration. It could be inheritances, fears, anxieties. I feel like with this new moon in Taurus happening here, some of you may see a positive boost, I'll say, in your financial situation, a realization, a healing of sorts, a lot of things coming up here. If you've been dealing with financial situations, uncertainty, fear, grief, any of those expressions where like, I don't want to feel them, I feel like there's something coming through with this lunation that's going to help you either feel like you've overcome it, you've gone up a next layer in your healing journey, or you've resolved those types of uncertainties or fears and you feel more confident. You may feel like an inner sense of peace and safety here because of, I'll say, because Uranus is in here too and has been here for several years, since 2018. You've navigated a lot of ups and downs. And it's almost like a culminating event, akin to like a graduation, where you may be feeling like a new start is happening, or there's a new leaf that's turning here. A lot of fear being expressed with this lunation. And I feel like it's really helping you clear the way and feel differently, where you don't have to tap into those feelings anymore. With Venus here in your 8th house, there's a need to really, and also the moon, I should say, to really find security and comfort, especially if things come up that provoke anxiety. Again, anything unknown. This could be grief that comes up, any losses, or anything in life, where you're not expecting it, like the unexpected, because having that routine or practice that really helps support you. I'm getting a nervous system. Some of you may be doing like nervous system regulation or work or therapy around that to help you just manage the choppy waters of life and feel confident about that. But the moon rules over finances too. And the sun is a really strong outward expression of this. And I feel like there's something positive coming for you. I'll say it could be, again, something unexpected, like a bonus. It could be some type of lawsuit or claim or settlement you didn't know that you were a part of, or that owed you money and you get it. It could be something that resolves itself, if it's like alimony, child support, or an inheritance where it's unexpected, or you realize, oh crap, this never came through, or you're initiated some type of back pay. But I get generally there's a resolve happening with grief, anxiety, and a positivity with finances, where even if you're still going through it, you're managing it and you feel like you're climbing on top of it than when you were. There's a sense of feeling, or at least taking your power back with this lunation and feeling like, okay, I'm aware of what's happening or the current situation, but I'm going in the right direction and I'm doing this. We have Pisces in Saturn at 17 degrees forming a superior sextile to the sun and moon. So the 6th and the 8th house are speaking to one another, which is interesting because we have Jupiter, the ruler, traditional ruler of Pisces, in your 6th house. So there's reception here. And Venus is in her domicile in the 8th, and Venus is also exalted in Pisces. So I feel like there's a lot of support here with any 6th house issues. Some astrologers refer to this with day-to-day routines. 3rd house generally is daily routines, but this could be having to do with any challenges, hardships, because this is a malefic house, the 8th and the 6th, but the 6th in particular can deal with anything challenging, things that you simply have to do that are part of it could be part of your life, your routines, your day-to-day, but also just stuff you have to do, paperwork, jobs, taking care of pets, if you have employees, dealing with the logistics of all that, tenants too. It's also the house of labor, hard work, and servitude. So this is where a lot of the things you do may go unnoticed. But with this positive aspect here with the 8th house and with Saturn here, I feel like many folks that are watching this, you've come to a point where you have either taken responsibility for things that have been happening in your life by saying, okay, I'm going to work on fear, or I'm going to do this. And that is helping you navigate through this process. I want to say too, with Jupiter, like I mentioned earlier, has reception here in the 6th. So Jupiter can see it's one of its homes because the other is Sagittarius. I feel like you may be feeling more relief. You may be feeling like the load is lightening, kind of like when you have a crap load of laundry and then you finally see the last load and you're like, okay, it's coming to an end. You may be feeling lighter, energetically lighter. And I feel like it's because Saturn is lending a hand here as well. There's a bossing up energy here and it's paying dividends. My Libras, I hope this has helped. Thank you so much for being here. My Scorpios, welcome to your new moon in Taurus reading. This lunation is happening in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, spouse, marriage, contracts, and open enemies. So this lunation, I feel, is positively, if you are in a relationship, I feel like it's positively bringing in more growth, I keep getting solidity, and I don't think it's a word. It's bringing more groundedness. So some of you are growing in your relationships, whether you are married, in partnership, however you define it. I feel like it's allowing you to grow to the next level and a deeper level and recommit in many ways and build more. So you may be renewing vows, renewing your goals with your partners. And this could be business partners too, feeling like, okay, we've grown a lot. We're at this next juncture of our relationship. What next? Some of you may be changing homes, and some of you, because of the Sun and Moon here, there's financial and career ambition type of energies coming through here with the 7th house. So some of you may be looking for connecting to other people or another person, like a business partner for your work, for your career, or even starting your own business. Same thing with clients. If any of you have your own business, I feel like this new moon in Taurus is going to help attract and bring in more clients that are enduring, that may want to work with you long term, and you can get clients that are supportive of what you do, particularly female clients with the moon and Venus in here. Also, if any of you are doing side hustles or creating something on the side that may not be a formal business, there's potential here for growth as well, because the moon also represents finances. I'll say too, with Saturn in your 5th house, forming a superior sextile to your sun and moon in the 7th, in Pisces, I should say, Saturn is in Pisces. Your creative endeavors, creative projects, they could be games and sports as well. This is also the house of sex, fertility, romance, dating, the beginnings of love. This is also being highlighted as well in a boost. So for any of my single Scorpios, Scorpio risings in particular, since the houses I mentioned are relevant for Scorpio risings. So just be clear, if you have Scorpio sun or moon, the houses may not align. This is also giving a boost to these areas, and this is a time where you may find other like-minded souls, people to connect to in terms of pleasure, like joining community groups, places where you enjoy doing certain hobbies, sports leagues, etc., but also romance and love. There's excellent opportunity because Venus is in her domicile, and so is Mars in your 6th house. So there could be an extra air of really wanting to find romance with those in partnerships, but also solo if you're looking for that. And friendships in general, relationships in general, same thing for those with businesses. I feel like some of you are coming in, I have to say this last thing, some of you are coming into a new phase in your life where you are really wanting to maybe create longer lasting relationships based on where you are now, based on your values. And I see this because of Pluto, still at 2 degrees, so it's brand new Pluto in Aquarius in your 4th house, and it's forming a square. We'll just say to the 7th house, based on whole sign degree, because Venus is there, which is about 8 degrees from Pluto. So there could be changes. You're wanting to connect on a deeper level. You may find that your values have changed and you really want to create longer lasting, enduring relationships that have meaning, that also bring meaning to your life, that are very supportive, trustworthy, loyal, but also there's something about values coming through because Pluto, I call it like a mini bulldozer, like a wheel. It unveils our truth and asks us to go towards what's authentic for ourselves. So there's a layer being plucked out here with your relationships over the next 20 years. And I feel like it's just starting now. And you may be feeling more called to connect to your heart with Venus here. My Scorpios, I hope this helped. Thank you so much for being here. My Sagittariuses, welcome to your new moon in Taurus reading. We've got this new moon happening in your 6th house of hard work, labor, servitude. This is a malefic house, so this is one also of illness, health-related issues that may come up, of tenants, employees that you have, and also small animals like pets. So this is a house, some people also say it's the house of day-to-day routines. I tend to see it more as 3rd house with traditional astrology, but you do you and tap into your intuition, because usually this can also include self-care, but it's usually it's usually a result of any illnesses or hardships that come up, like finding ourselves putting in a lot of energy, burning out, and then as a result we get sick and have to tend to ourselves and create better routines and systems and self-care that optimizes this area. But I see here with the new moon in Taurus, some of you could have openings, I'll say an opportunity for an opening of ease coming up where you may feel like a burden is lightening. This could mean some of you are moving, you're moving or changing jobs. It could be work. Not all astrologers attribute the 6th house to work because the labor tends to be things that you do. It could be more sacrificial, it could be more service oriented, or things that you don't really get credit for. Kind of like when you have to do the logistical stuff of paying the bills and you have to go online or fill out checks and do all that mundane work. 6th house stuff that you may not get credit for. So for some it could be a general work, like, oh, I work at a coffee shop, and others it could be that type of work that's more sacrificial and that feels nonstop. So I mentioned those two because it'll resonate differently for different folks. But I feel like there's an easing here happening because this could be as a result of changing homes, because you do have a superior sextile that Saturn and Pisces makes at 17 degrees to both the moon and the sun. And the moon can signify home. And some of you may be changing homes. You may be changing where you live or who you live with, and that's having an impact on the 6th house themes of feeling less burdened, of feeling less worn out, feeling less tired as a result of your energy, of where it's going towards. There's also a change here with Venus in the 6th house. Some of you are learning simply how to take better care of yourself because of what you've experienced. Moon signifies to the body. So health-related issues could be a theme, and you may be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel where you're finding different modalities, therapies, or modes that are enhancing your health and well-being, and you're feeling better, and you could be finding ways that finally is helping you generally feel better. You're healing. Big healing element happening here. Same with Sun in the sixth. Sun in the sixth could also present opportunities for putting in a lot of hard work in this area of your life, particularly with the sextile to Saturn. And so some of you could be working on building a home, again, moving, or in some place kind of shifting or shuffling family around, or finding different ways to bring that into some type of balance. So just be cautious of burnout, because the transit Sun is there right now, so you may be feeling extra powered up, like someone just gave you a jolt of caffeine. But the Moon and Venus there are also reminding you to really make sure that you take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. I want to say something because I'm just getting a message right now about volunteering. If any of you are looking for homes or even work as this relates, homes or work, you may tap into some networks that you don't previously or regularly tap into. Because sometimes when we are looking for a resource or a tip or guidance, we generally tap in and call the same people or connect to them, right? Think about connecting to others that you may not usually do, because you may gain clarity or get an answer that you're looking for as well. Make sure that your home offers support for you. It's going to be important. There could be, I have to say this last thing, there could be like a renovation, a redecoration. You're simply redoing areas of your home or an aspect of your home where you spend a lot of time in, say where you pay those bills or where you do some of this work. That's going to be more supportive of your body. So it could be simply getting an ergonomic chair, getting a desk that's at like waist level, or a standing desk, something like that, where I can see that's going to help you further continue in this process, because we have Uranus in your sixth house, which could have presented some unexpected health issues throughout the last several years since Uranus ingressed in 2018. Same thing with Jupiter. I feel like you have more benefics at this time that I keep getting the ease, the opening, the ability to see the light at the end of the tunnel with this. I hope this has helped my Sagittarius, my Capricorns. Welcome to your new moon in Taurus reading. This new moon in Taurus is happening in your fifth house of creative projects, creativity, I should say, romance, love, sex, the beginnings of datings and all of that. Fertility, could be gambling too. Sports, games, friendships as well. And this is a good luck house. So with Taurus happening here, Venus is in her joy in the fifth house. So she's right here and she's in her domicile. So several things happening for my Capricorns. First, love and friendship, big time, with the moon and Venus co-present in the fifth house in Taurus. Some of you are meeting new friends, some feminine energy females, but with the sun here, it could be male, female, it doesn't matter. You're meeting new friends or have the potential to be part of new communities, new friends that feel really good, that bring joy. Some of you are in communities that relate to your passions, hobbies, things that really interest you, and it could be connected to the worker that you do. It doesn't have to be. Second, love is in the air. My Capricorn risings. If any of you are wanting or ready to date, this is also a great time, because Venus is in her joy and in Taurus. And I feel like this new moon, you could meet someone special. It could also be from a friendship group, because fifth house could also represent friendships. So it could be someone you know, and it develops further, develops deeper. Your other Venus ruled house, I should say, is Libra. And I'm like, it's in your 10th house. So it could potentially be with someone that you work with as well. Just putting it out there. But there's a lot of potential here for a lot of fun, because Taurus, especially earthy Taurus ruled by Venus, different from Libra. This is someone that's very sensual, romantic. You could find someone, wow, you could find someone doing the things that you do. Think of Taurian themes, maybe earthy stuff like gardening, meeting someone at a co-op, at what are those farms called? Animal farms, where you sell food, not flea markets, food stalls. Ugh, farmers market, that one. You can meet people in those types of environments, salons, beauty parlors, barber shops, any health beauty type of place, spas. I also feel like with the moon there and Venus, think of where you seek comfort, coffee shops, places with couches, any outings or community types of events. So for any of you looking for more friends or to expand your love or to start dating, I would say get out there, get into what you most enjoy doing, meetups, Eventbrites, different community groups, rec centers. Just get out there and make yourself be seen. With Saturn in your third house at 70 degrees, forming a superior sextile to your fifth. Local community events, you guys, local neighborhood, people close to you. This could also be online for some of you because with the modern day significations, obviously back in the day they didn't have internet, so we do. So this could be platforms. You can meet someone through YouTube, through, what is it, TikTok, X, LinkedIn, any of those platforms and many others, blogs. You never know, things develop in different ways, but also local, your local neighborhood community through siblings, aunts, uncles. Close to home, some of you are going to find love, new friendships, and also find more opportunities to simply increase joy, creativity, passion in your life again. And this new moon is a perfect opportunity. If any of you have been wanting to simply re-engage with a hobby again, or simply put yourself out there for dating, especially organically, I can see that happening. This is an opportunity to do that, like the in-person events, not any app-related stuff, but I could see both as well. My Capricorns, I should say, thank you so much for being here. My Aquarians, this new moon in Taurus is happening in your fourth house of home, family, roots, ancestries. This is also the subterranean of the zodiacal chart. So this could also deal with divination, secrets, mysteries, the occult, esotericism, astrology, and more. So with this new moon happening here, some of you are literally getting a new home or moving, because the moon here does signify moves or changes. And so some of you could be moving out of a home or moving into a home and changing who you live with. Some of you could be joining roommates. We have, with the moon and Venus here, this could signify women, female. So some of you could be moving into a sorority, for example, or roommates that are mainly women, sisters, mothers, grandmothers, or Sun 2 represents males. So any type of person, I'm saying. But I feel like it's a more supportive environment, especially with Venus and the moon here. Both of these, the exaltation ruler and the domicile ruler of Taurus, I feel like really creating a nurturing home and making sure it feels like home for you, which is going to be different for everyone. But safety is key to Taurus. And for my Aquarians in your fourth home, that's very important too. You may want to build stability. You may also want to start, I can see many of you completely, if you haven't already, change up your home decor, or really say this is the month where you make your list, you go out and visit stores, and you start decorating your home in the way that you want. And I feel like you're going to tap into making it your own. I'm hearing like fairies, like a wonderment, a wonder, magical. It's like that, like a fantastical type of journey. So you may put twinkle lights, kind of like what I have. You may decorate with different lightings, fabrics, things that just feel really good. With Venus here and the moon, a lot of feminine energy coming through. So you may put scents into plays. I'm getting just a lot of sensory experiences. You may put sounds or music, or maybe a cuckoo clock. Maybe get a TV that allows you to put images or photos. Huge focus on that right now. I also feel like some of you are taking a reprieve during this season to spend more time at home. So you may be feeling that lull, to lounge a little bit more, to relax, not be as social at this time. Perhaps because This is opposite your 10th house, and some of you will have personal planets, which will make aspects as a result in your 10th. But right now, with the transit, we don't have any bodies in there. So that's also something to consider. Some of you may be feeling it's time to take a little bit of a break and get back into home and get into our bubbles. We have Saturn in Pisces in your 2nd house, forming a superior sextile to the sun and moon in the 4th. So this gives a boost here. So some of you may be getting also a pay raise, pay increase. The income that you make from your own work could be increasing at this time because of the hard work that you've put in. Saturn is your traditional ruler in astrology, and right now it's an aversion to your 1st house. So Saturn can't see its home, but it does form a general sextile to the 12th if you have any planets there, because you have Capricorn, that's also the home of Saturn. So some of you may be getting money potentially, and I'm saying this because there are no current planets in the 12th, but if you have planets, take a look and assess their condition and take a look at the aspects they make to 17 degrees of Saturn, because some of you may be getting potential income from people from foreign countries, clients from other places, especially with the viability of the internet right now. It could be from places that you may work one-on-one with people, maybe on the side or as a business. But there's a boost here to your income, also to your values. I can see you potentially revamping or upgrading your values and incorporating more spiritual aspects to it that connect to your 4th house themes. Anything else? Nope, that's it. Thank you so much, my Aquarians. Welcome, my Pisces, to your full moon in Taurus. Let's see, reading, I should say. So this lunation is happening in your 3rd house of neighbors, local community, siblings, aunts, uncles, all forms of communication, knowledge, wisdom, learning. Generally, it's more elementary learning. It could be different courses, workshops too, and also divination, astrology, occult, and themes of that nature. So I feel like this lunation, you may be getting or feeling a call to stay close to home. And I say that very broadly. You may be feeling a call or find that you're connecting more to your neighbors, especially female, but all types with the sun too. It indicates male, masculine figures, but with the moon and Venus, a lot of feminine energy happening. So this could be maybe cousins, aunts, neighbors, or those that simply offer support and nurturing and safety that you're looking for at this time in your life. There could be a potential move for some of you, especially when it comes to home, but also community. Some of you may be relocating back or changing where you live in a local community and also connecting to different types of communities as a result. I feel like there's also more focus where you may be wanting to get to know your community better. You may be wanting to maybe support local businesses or engage more in different ways by maybe ritualizing or creating some type of routine by visiting maybe a certain cafe or market and getting to know the people there in a deeper way. It's kind of like when you move to a new home, but you spend most of your time elsewhere, so you don't really know your home. And you finally say, you know what, I want to get to know my community in a different way. Maybe I'll attend the farmer's market or I'll attend this festival. Perhaps connecting to the calendar of events for your town is going to allow you to connect deeper and to get to know more of the people, the different types of communities, and also the events that occur there. Because sometimes we're not aware of them because we're in our own bubble. For some of you that do internet work, because this also encompasses that, I also feel like this is also a great time if any of you are wanting to start like a YouTube channel, a blog. What other channels are there? TikTok or anything like that where you are showing yourself or teaching in a new way, because teaching is also part of the 3rd house. In Taurus, you may be looking to also share your knowledge in these areas. Some of you too, if any of you have skills, I got a gardener. If any of you have skills that you do maybe for work or that you've just honed and you enjoy it, lending your teaching abilities to others, like through a community workshop, maybe the library sometimes has workshops for people, things like that. This is a great opportunity to do that. Teaching, sharing your skills. If you're wanting to suddenly, do YouTube, this is a great time as well, especially with the sun here. This could have a connection to your career in the future or to make yourself seen or be visible in some way. Excuse me. Saturn is in your first house right now at 17 degrees of Pisces, forming a superior sextile to your third house. So again, visibility of self-expression, who you are, this also deals with your body and health, are also connected to third house issues. So if any of you have been really feeling called to, again, put yourself out there virtually, this is also another opportunity that I could see grow, especially with Saturn in here. Saturn ruling this. This could lead to something long-term for you. Saturn is in Pisces right now in your first house, but it rules over your 12th and 11th house. So you could expand your networks as well or tap into your networks to help support this. I keep getting influencers. If any of you, Pisces risings in particular, and to a lesser extent sun and moons, because this is the charts that I'm looking at. The chart that I'm looking at is for Pisces risings. If any of you are looking to expand your virtual or visible reach in some way, like I just said, this could be a really great time to get that going, to simply say, okay, no more holding back. Because I can see with Taurus in the third house, some of you may have been hesitant, there may be fear, but there may also be you of trying to make sure all the ducks are in order before you actually do it. And right now with this nation, it's about just doing it and taking that positive risk, especially since we have Mars in Aries in your second house. Excellent time to put forth that energy. And when you're starting something new, like a blog or YouTube or anything of that nature, it does take an initial investment of putting in that work, of getting used to these things, editing, all of that. You can see it paying off for you. And we have Jupiter in your third, going to ingress into your fourth soon. So my Pisces, I hope this has helped. You all, happy new moon in Taurus to everyone. These readings I saw generally very positive things coming. Again, always consult your chart. And I want to offer simply one final card and see what final message we get collectively. Just one, simple. We got Judgment card, 20. I feel like there's a big positive change, very spiritual here coming for many folks, where we are releasing a lot of old ways of being, of keeping ourselves safe that maybe felt good only because it was something we've known, but that didn't really allow us to grow. It limited us. And I feel like with so many of these readings that I just went through, there's a lot about finding safety on your own terms, but not being afraid to take that risk still. I'm wishing you a beautiful new moon in Taurus. I'll see you soon. Take care.